right, so thank you, BookNet, and thank you to Lauren Stewart for the inspiration. I tend to use metaphor in presentation, and Lauren gave me the title, Covering Your Bases, so I went with baseball, obviously. So today I'm going to talk about new standards in metadata, Thema global subject codes, and ONIX 3.0, which you should be thinking about and planning, if not implementing, in 2014. So when you're doing standards implementation and business planning, you want to consider all of your bases and look at your budget, what kind of software you need or how to upgrade the one you have, and also how to staff for these changes. We're going to look at these three areas in more detail with the help of some animated GIFs or GIFs, depending on how you want to pronounce that. So I know it's hard to believe it's spring, right? Or nearly spring here in Toronto with the polar vortexes and the wind chill warnings. But the Jays just started spring training in Florida, and publishers are looking ahead for the year. Part of this should involve taking stock of current metadata practices, as there are two new players to think about. How many of you, for instance, are starting to think about or have already implemented ONIX 3.0? Awesome, a few hands. And what about Thema? Sort of the same hands. Well, after today and after the rest of your time at Tech Forum and ONIX training, I think more of you will be thinking about them. So Thema is the fresh new standard, and let's compare it to Brett Laurie. Maybe a bit of a showboat because there are big expectations and potential. ONIX 3.0 is a bit of an older player. It was created in 2009, so let's compare it to Adam Lind. Essential, dependable, and needs to be put in the lineup. So Thema is an international classification scheme, and it also has been developed with local interest. There was a Canadian Thema committee to ensure that our history and regional identity is represented. To give you an example, I worked at Formac, which had a lot of maritime titles, and at the time I could code as specific as Nova Scotia. But now using Thema, I can code to Cape Breton or Louisbourg. There's a lot more definition there. ONIX 3.0 is great for ebooks in the international market. You can define DRM, for example, usage permissions and constraints, and provide better accuracy for sales and distribution. ONIX 3.0 is used in China, India, and Russia, and oh, I'm so sorry, and other countries that are new players. Canada and the US, who were early ONIX adopters, are a bit behind. For more information about ONIX 3.0 and Thema, I'd recommend going to the BookNet blog. Noah Genner writes about Thema, Tom Richardson, ONIX 3.0, and there's also Intro to ONIX for Books 3.0 on editor.org by Graham Bell. So let's look at an example. You're publishing a book on the Toronto Blue Jays. With BISAC, you can code it as Baseball General. With Thema, you can code it as Baseball, Southwestern Ontario, Greater Toronto Area, and sports teams and clubs. So Thema in this case is more accurate and not a one-to-one match with BISAC. I've also just included some book covers for baseball fans, including nonfiction by ECW Press, Picturary Dickey's memoir, and a collection of poems on baseball by Hagios Press. ONIX 3.0 is a triple play, and in this GIF you can see only the fourth triple play in history, the Blue Jays, in May 2012 against Kansas City Royals. So ONIX 3.0 makes a clean sweep of deprecated elements, as well as others that have been made redundant. It enables digital products to be handled more comprehensively. And at the same time, opportunity has been taken to introduce other important improvements, although there are many data fields that remain the same, so when you upgrade, you're not starting from scratch. In practice, you can't start a new season of standards without preparation. You want to ensure that your team is geared up and your equipment is up to snuff. So you may, for example, have a distributor doing your metadata. You may have a web-based system that supports data entry, or perhaps you've bought a third-party system for product data management. You need to know the capabilities of your current solution and how they're preparing for these important upgrades. Or perhaps you want to make a trade. So let's look at some of the options on the market and see what their current status is and their plans. eBound offers core source, and some publishers might also use it directly. They are taking ONIX 3.0 now and Thema this year. ONIX Edit can support 3.0 or 2.1, but as a parallel database, which means if you need both, and you probably do right now, you're implementing the same data changes in each. I ran a parallel database while implementing Klopotec at Formac. We had a public-facing website where I would input some changes, and we were developing Klopotec at the time where I had to do the same work. So it's happening a lot, and it's not the worst thing. BookNet offers WebForum, which is a great solution for smaller publishers. And WebForum will also be moving to 3.0 when more users are looking to upgrade. Thema subjects are supported now, and qualifiers soon. I talked about Klopotec, and it's a larger scale option for companies with more resources, and I'd recommend having a staff sort of dedicated to it. It's also a larger encompassing program that can do distribution, sales, contracts, rights and royalties, as well as ONIX. And the benefit of Klopotec is it's currently being mapped by Kendra and UBC and UTV to ONIX 3.0. And a parallel database isn't necessary, so just some testing and some data entry of thema codes when they adopt them are required. Finally, LitDisco was the first in Canada, I believe, with ONIX 3.0, and they're planning to send out Thema parallel to BISAC by the end of March 2015. Let's talk about human resources. Who will you get to do the work? Do you want to hire someone that's new or use someone in-house? What kind of skills do they need? It's not just technical. They need to be talking to editors and marketers in your company for subject coding. Your subjects control where books are shelved or categorized online, and they have direct impact on discoverability. BISG offers a mapping from BISAC codes, what you use today, to Thema. This costs either by membership or purchase of BISAC listings, and BookNet is making an automated tool that will convert BISAC to Thema as well. In this GIF, we have Brett Laurie, who's clearly out of his territory, and I think my GIF froze, unfortunately, and outfielder Thames, who's backing him up and making the catch. In case you want to hire someone either to make your metadata records, create ONIX 3.0, or consult with you about implementation, here are some worthy pinch hitters and free agents. The slides will be shared, and I also have some of their business cards so you can find me later. LitDisco offers metadata creation services, primarily for print, but is also getting into ebooks. eBound Canada has a publisher's services model that includes ebook metadata creation, and your contact is Shannon Culver, who is here. Hi. Tricia McCraney is also at the conference, although I haven't seen her today, and she's an ONIX expert and a very great technical project manager. Bill Kennedy is another metadata specialist, a poet, and creator of ONIX Live, which is the data-driven storefront for publishers and distributors. So what kind of value do you put on your metadata? Let's consider some data from BookNet's Canadian Book Market Report 2013. 56% of books are being discovered online in our country. 21% are being purchased online. Our indie bookstores are disappearing, and chains are selling more non-book items. So metadata is our #1 tool to give the reader the back cover and quick browse experience they used to have in stores. And let's look at the sample budget. I'm saying it takes 15 minutes to 30 minutes to upgrade a record from 2.1 to 3.0 and for Thema. It sounds like a lot of time, but you need to consider consulting, coding, checking, and correcting to ensure you have a valid file. I've assigned a sample freelance rate or an in-house salary plus an opportunity cost if you're pulling an existing staff away from other work of $50 an hour. This gives us a record value of $25. And it also relates to a per record charge currently on the market for metadata creation. I do think if you can staff it with a dedicated person, such as a paid intern, it could be more efficient. And I gave you a sample Blue Jays budget, and I did it again, which shows the importance this year on pitching and home run hitting, so we'll see how that plays out. In addition to cost, you want to evaluate whether your current business practices make sense to spend on developments now, or whether you're better off waiting. You don't want to overachieve like poor Sierra is doing at the plate, and you also don't want to be outplayed. You want to think where you are selling your books, and do you have ebooks? If you sell internationally and have ebooks, ONIX 3.0 and Thema are super important. When do you move from practice or testing your new data to game day with aggregators? What comes first, the best practice data feed or the retailer's requirement for up-to-date information? To answer these questions, let's look at where some of the retailers are now. Kobo is taking ONIX 3.0 now, Thema this year. ONIX 3.0 by 2015, and Thema, they haven't replied to me. Does anyone know? Amazon is forthcoming with 3.0 and no plan for Thema yet. Apple, no current support. BiblioShare takes 3.0 and Thema now. While they're not a retailer, it's important to know this. And CoreSource 3.0 now and Thema soon. So here are my salient points. I think you should get in touch with your data aggregators. Ask when they're upgrading and tell them your plans too. I think if we start offering new standards more consistently and provide extra value in that data, retailers will respond more quickly. For publishers with a database that can be mapped and export either 2.1 or 3.0, why wait? Smaller leagues running parallel databases should start planning and assessing resources now. And in terms of an end game, Editor has announced the sunset date of the end of 2014, beyond which 2.1 will no longer be supported. Don't panic, what it means is there will be no updated code lists or an updated schema. New players entering the market will be primarily using ONIX 3.0, and digital will be where the most noticeable effect will be felt. BISAC does not currently have a sunset date. Thema has the potential to replace it, and as we saw from examples, is better in its international application and breadth of subject categories and qualifiers. So to conclude, there's no crying in baseball or in standards implementation, though some tears may be shed, so be good to your team. And if anyone has any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. All right, well, thank you very much.